Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded, Season 2, Episode 34, Bad Moon Araiza. And you'll get that title shortly enough. I am your host, Eric. This is my main man over there. Ron, how are you?
Doing okay.
Yeah. Do want to apologize, a little late today, some technical difficulties, but we're ready to go. We're raring to start unfolding some of these top sports stories of this week. And we're going to start off with our leadoff story, and that's Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
Number 2 overall pick. Will miss the entire upcoming season with a foot injury. Your thoughts on this pick and obviously the situation that has come up. We're going to bring Chet up on the screen as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
There.
I'm not surprised. Like I said, he was going to be brittle. Look, this is going to be a regular thing, I think, with him. He's so skinny. He's going to get run over.
95, yeah, he's 195 pounds at 7 feet, so he's very thin.
Yeah, I doubt he's at 195 too.
And he got hurt. It was a crossover Pan Am event in Seattle. I believe he got stepped on by LeBron James.
Yeah, he did. I saw it.
So
I was watching.
If you think about it, I know you were a little critical of these guys playing in those kind of tournaments.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel now?
Oh, well, it just, it basically proves my point. Like it makes no sense that these players are playing in this. Like it makes no sense. You're an NBA player. Like cut it out. Just play your game in your league. It's too risky, and first of all, LeBron James shouldn't be playing. LeBron James should not be playing in this league. Like, I can see, rookies, getting that playing time, but I mean, come on.
Well, we know there was probably financial reasons behind it, probably some kind of pay off to get him there so people go and join.
He doesn't do anything without money.
And now look at it. Ultimately, it cost, this pick his entire season.
Yeah.
So I would question, to your point, as you said, brittle, but also the ability to heal or be able to go through pain. That may be an issue as well going forward, because again, if this is a season-ending injury, to me, it just I didn't look that bad to me. Was I mistaken?
Like I would not have drafted him there, first of all, because of this factor. I don't care about his talent in college. I really don't care.
Well, let's 14.1 points per game, 9.9 rebounds.
And I get it.
He shot 60% from the field, 39% from 3-point range. How do you not take a shot on this kid? But
he doesn't have an NBA build. Period. Like, if I'm going to risk, my draft picks, it's going to be on somebody that has a body for the NBA. I'm sorry, I don't want Sean Bradley on my team. Sorry. Period. Like, this is a no-brainer to me.
We'll do one similar.
There were skilled players that were there.
In our triple play, right? We're going to do Manute Bowles, one of the players. And if you think about the same thing, again, it was just when you're that size, but you don't have any muscle mass to you, it ends up turning into, I hope that's part of the triple play, my friend.
I actually did not even see that on the list.
I cannot with you anymore.
I'm good. Like, I know it all. I know it all.
So should young players that just finished high school be drafted by NBA teams? Bring back one of y'all questions. So we actually discussed this on one show before, and I truly believe that high school players should be allowed to play in the NBA. I don't agree with the fact that they put a restriction, make them go to college, or now the G League, which is just another form of the NBA. So the NBA is making money off of them, but they're really not getting paid like an NBA player. So me personally, I would definitely like to see high school players being allowed back into the draft.
Not me.
You do not agree? You would not?
I don't agree.
Why?
I just don't think they're ready. Like, look, and you keep saying, certain players. Those are the exceptions to the rule.
So why not? Again, how many of those exceptions to the rule? I mean, you're not even getting them an opportunity. And then if they don't make it, they can always go to the G League after that. That makes more sense to me.
Okay, well, whatever. I don't agree with it. I just think,
if you get out of high school at any job, do they put a restriction on what job you can have?
Yeah, actually they do.
Well, it depends on what the job is, but I mean, not to play basketball.
I'm just saying, it's like when you draft,
Baseball,
when you're drafting out of high school, it's just going to be like all these players that are top prospects are just going to get drafted by the NBA, and they're just
Bryant
not.
sucked.
And college
Kobe
basketball will be null and void.
Kobe stunk. They said the same thing when high school kids were, and college did not drop out. One of the best players was Tim Duncan. He stayed in there 4 years. He didn't drop. He didn't leave early. It really depends on the player.
I don't agree.
And how does one and done? How does one and done any more successful?
It's not.
Basketball.
It's not.
But that's what these kids are doing now.
Oh, I know.
Chet Holmgren, perfect example, one and done.
Yeah.
Because why? He gets drafted number 2.
Yep. Only to
Maybe
get
out
hurt.
of high school he doesn't go to. Maybe he goes 15, 20. He's not as big a. I don't know.
Like I mean, look, I think you got to look at the numbers as a whole. Yes, I know there's a Kobe Bryant and there's a LeBron James, waiting at every corner.
Mayor O'Neal. I mean, you could keep going on and on.
I'm just saying, for every one of those guys, there are, a dozen kids that
Sebastian
that
Telfair
career.
right? Sebastian Telfair stunk.
Yeah.
But again, it's a one-off. It's rare. And again, I think if the kids have the right backings to them, and people can tell them, look, I don't know where you're going to go, but it ain't going to be high. Maybe you should go to college, or maybe you should go to the G League. That's more about management and what these people are doing for that player. All right. So we're going to start. I think we're going to start a new site. We're going to talk some NFL, but we might go to D-Bags. D-Bag of the week.
D-Bags
of the week. I'm going to try to keep it because we are trying to be a family-friendly show. But Buffalo Bills starting punter Matt Araiza and 2 former teammates have been accused of a gangbang rape from the time when they were in San Diego State University. How do you think the NFL should handle this? The fact that we're talking about this right now is really blowing my mind as well.
Look, I mean, from what I read, the victim in the case had to escape, first of all. Let's just put it as simple as that. Had to escape. And then, went to her friend's house and told the friends what happened. And in the morning, filed a police report and did the exams and all of that stuff. So now the results of the exams, I don't know. I don't know what the results are. So, whatever that shows, and to me, it would show, a case. If what she's saying is true, then the evidence would show that.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
A lot of what the story's saying, I guess he gave her a drink. From there on, she really doesn't remember much of what happened. Remembers waking up, having intercourse with him, and then him locking her in a room with a couple of his former teammates. They obviously did what they did, which was despicable as well. Unfortunately for her, the fact that she had to go through this. But I just wanted to – so I started to look at what they said before with the Desean Watson precedent, right? And we looked at all this, 11 games. So the NFL said in a statement that it was aware of the incident but declined to comment. Because the alleged rape happened before Araiza was drafted, he would not be subject to league personal conduct policy. So basically, he can't get suspended for this because it was before he got drafted.
Mm.
This is a ridiculous. When we talk, I thought the Desean Watson screw up was bad, but this makes me go, because you cannot tell me that you're going to want this guy on TV during a game now and people are not going to make comments about it. You're going to allow him to be on your screen knowing what he did. And at least with Desean Watson, I mean, if there was allegations of it wasn't a rape. It was more of, an assault. This was pure. I mean, they said she was bleeding from her vagina. She was bleeding from her nose. She was obviously drugged. There was 2 other men involved besides him. And you're going to allow this to go on your field as an NFL owner, as a team, and as a company. I cannot believe that because it happened prior to him being drafted.
Yeah, well, this is got to be something that the Buffalo Bills tend to, So the first thing I know I would do as an owner, I would cut him. I'm sure they can find another punter to take his place, somewhere.
So they actually cut their punter, Matt Hawk, signed with the Colts. So now they'd be out a punter. But this kid was known as, they were calling him the punt god.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think God would have made these same actions as you did.
No.
And to me, I agree with you 100%. The league wants to say, the funny story coming out of this also was from Buffalo, who before you draft, you do pre-interviews with all these picks.
Yep.
So unfortunately, who's your favorite TV villain? Who's your favorite?
Oh,
TV
wait a minute. Wait. That's not.
So we're going all realms here in Sports Unfolded. But I wanted to say that they originally said that they knew about the situation, that he had discussed it during the interview. Once the story came out, Buffalo turned head and said, maybe we didn't. We misunderstood the question that they were asked. I have a feeling they knew about this as well, and were hoping that this would fall under the radar. So I'm not sure the Buffalo Bills would actually cut him. I think they knew about this story all along. They were just hoping it never came out.
Well, that would be really unfortunate.
Currently, right? Yeah. I mean, is this Matt Araiza, Desean Watson? I mean, you could really say that the 2 of these, if you put it on a poll, which we may have to do, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It might be a new segment, D-Bag of the Week. We're going to have a D-Bag of the Week. Let's continue with the NFL theme, because I just can't believe we continue to have these stories.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised one bit.
Well, again, there's no real punishment for it. He has 11 games, $5 million. Now this kid can't even get suspended because it was before he was drafted. Yeah. You're still employed by the league. I don't understand that now. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yep.
And guys have gotten cut for a lot less of an offense. So J.C. Jackson will miss 2 to 4 weeks for the LA Chargers here with an ankle surgery. How big of a loss is this for the Chargers right now? We expected them to be a contender in the AFC West. J.C. Jackson was a big piece of that. They signed him to obviously a big contract to be that number 1 cornerback.
Yeah.
2 to 4 weeks. Doesn't sound like a long time, but in the NFL world, a month, if you go 0-4 in that month, you're going to have a tough time making the playoffs. And think about the division they're in. How do you feel about this injury for the Chargers?
Well, look, it's 2 to 4 weeks, but then he has to come back and get ready for the season. So I think it's more like a 4 to 4 to 6 weeks at least. So I think the team is going to probably not have him play until week 6 or 7.
So I decided to do a little research, and I said, I'm going to ask you, other than Asante Samuel Jr., okay, here's their other cornerbacks. Let me know if you know them. Bryce Callahan, Keeman Hall, Michael Jacquet, and Michael Davis.
Oh, Jacquet.
So I want to ask you this question, Ron. Do you know how many interceptions J.C. Jackson had last year for the New England Patriots?
It was double digits, if I'm not mistaken.
He had 8 interceptions.
Oh, it was close.
Still good. The total of those 5 guys that I just introduced you to, 3.
Oh,
3.
I was off by 1.
So close, right? So
Who got one? Do you know who got one?
Samuel Jr. had 2, and Davis had 1.
Oh, see, I didn't know Davis had one. That's what it was.
So
that's why I said who had one.
The Chargers actually signed Derwin James to a big deal to get him back into camp and participating. One of the best safeties in the league. I'll give him that, but he's going to have to keep their secondary together while J.C. Jackson, because that's such a big piece. Yeah. They got Khalil Mack. They got J.C. Jackson, Derwin James. This team was loaded. Injuries could derail that really quick. Really quick. It's triple play time, my friend. And I can see that you are so well aware of what it is. So I will let you go first, even though you're not first, and just tell us what it is. I'm just playing with you. So 34 years ago, these 3 players led the NBA in blocks per game. It was Manute Bol, Mark Eaton, and Patrick Ewing. So obviously 34 years ago, we're episode 34 today. So we're going to discuss. We've got to decide who we start, bench, and cut. I am first this week. So I will give you the correct list, and then we will let Ron basically, butcher it as he normally does. So I am starting. You're not ready for this. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready. I already got
Mark
mine.
Eaton. And I'm starting Mark Eaton. 6 points a game, 7.9 rebounds, 1 assist. But that's not what the big deal is. In his career, he averaged 3.5 blocks for his career per game. Or per season. He was a 5-time all-defensive, 4-time block champion, 2-time defensive player of the year. So how I looked at it is I want a guy that I know I can count on. I can get points somewhere else. He's going to be my defensive stopper no matter what happens. But I'm benching Patrick Ewing. I have him come off my bench. He's going to get me my points. 3-time all-defensive player. Only averaged 2.4 blocks in his career per season. I have to cut Manute Bol. 2.6 points per game. 4.2 rebounds. 0.3 assists. 1-time all-defensive. 2-time blocking champ. Averaged 3.3 blocks per season in his career. Mark Eaton, though, you talk about a defensive stopper. I want that guy on my team. I can get points somewhere else. I don't need the points. That is my triple play.
Yeah, and as always, you get it wrong. Look, you got to stop Patrick Ewing.
Why?
You have to start him. First of all, he's only going to get 1 less block a game. Okay, 1 less block a game, and he's going to give you a ton more points a game.
He was never a blocking champion. He never led the league in blocks. He was never a 2-time defensive player of the year.
It doesn't matter because if he's going to still give you those numbers, you still want him on your team as a starter. Then you bring Eaton off the bench where he belongs. He belongs on that bench. He belongs coming off of it to give you defensive stops late in the game. That's what you need. That's when you need him. You don't need him running up and down the court through the whole game. You just need him when you need him in certain parts of the game where it's crunch time. So I cut Manute Bol. He's just too fragile. He doesn't give you enough of anything in particular.
You don't
just the finger, and it's like
that was the Kembe.
I got a finger for him.
That was the Kembe.
Yeah, well, whoever it was. But it still doesn't matter.
I can't with
He
you.
wasn't good. He wasn't good.
Oh, yeah, there we go. He wasn't good.
So Ewing is the starter.
No
There's
way.
no way he's off. He's on the bench. You start him.
5-time all defense,
Doesn't matter.
4-time block, 2-time defensive.
You bring him off the bench.
Player of the year. He was the best
the bench.
defensive player 2 years running.
Yeah, and all those players come off the bench.
It was one of the reasons they made it to the finals and lost to Jordan.
Off the bench.
Mark Eaton, starter.
Off the bench.
Starter. Let's continue with the NBA theme.
You're out of your mind.
And we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, your guy, LeBron. I know how excited you are. He's got a new player.
LeBum.
We're going to put him up on the screen. And that would be.
So you
look at how excited Patrick Beverley is.
Yeah.
How excited is he to be now part of the Los Angeles Lakers? Look at him there. I'm going to ask you, where does this put the Lakers now in the Western Conference after this move?
Okay, when did he become a needle mover?
9.2 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 4.6 assists.
Woo!
Shoots
Wow.
34.3% from three, averages 1.2 steals, only 1.3 turnovers. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's very good defensively. He's going to hit the three-pointers, which they lacked. They didn't have an outside presence. This is a great move for the Lakers. Very quietly, this is a very good move for them.
It's a good move for the Lakers. A good move.
It's a great move.
It's not a great move. A great move would be a needle mover. Okay, this is a good move.
If these guys stay healthy,
this does not put them in the top 4 in that conference.
No, they're in the top 10 now.
Whoa, oh boy! So from a number 11 to the top 10. Look,
well, they missed the playoffs. I got them in the playoffs now.
Yes, because Utah can't make the playoffs.
Utah and San Antonio will both be out. But okay, let me ask you: are they better than Phoenix now?
No.
Memphis.
No.
Golden State.
No.
Dallas.
No.
Denver.
No.
Minnesota.
No.
New Orleans.
Maybe.
But Zion healthy, different.
Yeah,
story.
if he's that's just it. If he stays healthy.
The LA Clippers.
No.
So, according to you got him like 7th or 8th in the West, which is still a good size move since they were 11th. Gets them in the playoffs.
You didn't mention Dallas either.
I said Dallas.
Oh, did you?
Dallas, okay. Denver, Minnesota.
All right.
Right?
So they could possibly make it to 8th. That is still not great.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one other question.
It's a good move.
Okay. Beverly off the bench, Kyrie Irving instead of Westbrook. Now where do you put him?
Well, that's a move that they would have to make. If they make that move, then I definitely put him above New Orleans.
You may be able to put him ahead of Denver. You may be able to put him ahead of Dallas.
I don't know about Denver, but Dallas I would probably – I don't know.
They lost Brunson.
Yeah.
I mean, they made a couple moves. They got Woods, but nothing – again, it's just Luka.
So I would probably put him ahead of
Denver.
Dallas.
We already know their injury situation.
I'm not sure I put him ahead of Denver.
They may be a top 5 team, though. Denver can't stay healthy either.
Yeah, but now you're talking about adding Irving. But I still don't think that's going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Why? Okay, why does Irving even want to go back to play with LeBron? Maybe LeBron doesn't want Irving.
It could be. It might be. It may be. But, I mean, I'm glad. It's a good segue because we're going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant has decided to stay with the team.
Again, good.
How do you think?
Because he knows.
How do you think their upcoming season will be for the Nets now? What is your outlook for the Brooklyn Nets now that Kevin Durant is locked in to remain with the team this season?
He's not locked in. He's not locked in.
That was my question now. How committed is he to the Brooklyn Nets? If you were willing to walk away prior to the season starting, if the season doesn't go the way you plan it to go, does that not tell you that possibly he could just say, 3 months into the season, you know what, this still isn't working. I want out again.
Look, I think he was an idiot for doing all this drama, to be honest with you. First of all, You know, if you have Irving on your team, okay, so they didn't do very well in the playoffs. All right, so be it. But you still don't know what the heck is going on with Ben Simmons. Now,
Another
him
question.
being added to this team, if he pans out to be anything like he was, a couple of years ago, this team is going to be good.
He doesn't need to score here. So this is a
No,
perfect scenario for
it
Simmons, right?
is. That's what I'm
He's the
saying.
third option on a team that's basically going to say, look, we want you to pass, we want you to play defense, and we want you to rebound.
Right,
Those are
everything
all
he's
three
good at.
things that he does good at. Yeah, right? So to me, the Brooklyn Nets, if Kevin Durant is mentally in this season,
Yeah.
they are the Eastern Conference champions.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
And Kyrie decides he's going to be
it
Kyrie
didn't
that wants
make any sense that Durant was doing all this. So he causes all this drama for no reason, where he could have just said, you know what, let's see what happens this coming season. We had a very disappointing year last year. We're all injured. We're all out. COVID, the whole bit. Okay, so let's start fresh. We got Ben Simmons coming in, and we have some great guys coming off the bench. Why not wait and see instead of jumping the gun just because you went out in first round against the Celtics, who, mind you, were a good team.
Yeah,
and
they went to the conference, right? They went to the finals,
right? And so stop whining. Stop whining, Durant, and just go play some basketball.
Ron,
Stop trying to be a GM too.
How about this dynamic though? How are you, the head coach, now going to look at Kevin Durant and feel comfortable knowing that this guy said he would only stay if you were out?
Right.
Like,
Right.
That's like any of us going up to our employer and saying, you know what? We hate this job. We hate you, but I need you to give me a raise and a promotion.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here now? Like, so he, to your point, created all this drama and very easily could have kept it on. I want to trade. Leave it at that.
Yeah.
But then he made all these demands, and now you've got to look these individuals in the face.
He looks like an idiot.
82 games.
Looks like an idiot.
Games.
I'm
Don't swear.
I'm trying so hard to contain the emotions of all of this because I'm so sick of what I'm seeing in sports today. I'm sick of it.
It's getting horrible. It's getting horrible. Let's move on to some Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah, jump right into the fire now.
So, which player do you think will have a bigger impact for the rest of the season coming back from the IL this week? Giancarlo Stanton or Bryce Harper? So they both came back this week. Stanton on Thursday. Harper's due back today, Friday. Obviously, both of them are in some kind of race with their respective teams. Which one do you think is going to have a bigger impact when he comes back?
Oh, how come Chris Sale isn't an option?
Who do you think when they come back from IL next season?
It's going to be Harper. It's going to be Harper for the Phillies.
I think so. They're in a tighter race, right? They hold the second wild card spot. They're 4 games ahead of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's kind of tailed off, though. The Brewers, after the trade deadline, I think that team rebelled a little bit. They didn't like the fact that they got rid of Josh Hader. And now you look at it, and they've fallen off. They're not winning the NL East.
No.
They're not catching the Braves or the Mets. But Harper coming back. To me, you're putting Stanton back in. He's batting .229 this season, 67 hits, 24 home runs, and 64 RBIs. He's got 94 strikeouts. It's basically putting the same play. It's like putting Joey Gallo back in the lineup.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, well, look, the Yankees' problems lately isn't because of the long ball.
Chicks dig the long ball.
It's because of their timely hitting or lack thereof.
Yeah, they're not
horrible pitching. When they could have had Montgomery. Look,
Cortez
there's a lot of
is
things
on the IL.
wrong.
Cortez on the IL now.
Yeah, look,
7.5 games up though on Toronto. 7.5 games.
7.5.
And think about it. They were 15. It's cut in half. They've got about a month left of the season.
Yeah.
3.5 back of Houston for the number 1 seed. That's done. They're not getting the number 1 seed now in the American League. I don't think Stanton does anything for him. It doesn't move the needle like Hopper can for
No,
the
Hopper, look, I don't really particularly care for Hopper very much, but what he does bring to the table, yeah, exactly. What he does bring to the table is the tenacity, and that rubs off on the team. And look, Phillies have already been playing pretty well without him.
Yeah.
When you add him into the mix, Phillies could make some noise. And like you said, they probably won't be able to catch, the Mets or the Braves, but they're going to be right in the thick of things.
This keeps them in the wild card. This move, I think, almost ensures that they make the wild card. Look, he's batting so far in the season. 64 games he's played. 318, 77 hits, 15 home runs, 48 RBIs, only 52 strikeouts. He's a contact hitter as well.
Yeah.
I think he's learned that. They're going to basically use him as a designated hitter. So he's not going to less wear and tear on his body in the outfield for now.
Right.
I think this works. I think Phillies, this is like a trade deadline great move for them.
Yeah, and the key there is the striking out. Look, I'm looking around the league, and it's like it's a home run or bust for so many of these players. And if you're not going to get the pitchers to cooperate with you, then the long ball is not going to help you. And I'm sorry. Like, look, the Yankees have a lot of games left to play against good pitching.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not sold that they can hold on to that first place. To be honest with you, I'm not sold on that.
It's what the more and more we keep talking about it, the more and more I get worried about it.
Yeah, but at least they're in first place. There's another race going on, a race to the bottom, where you're seeing like the Red Sox, and I'm sorry, like they stink. Last night I'm watching this game, and they get a leadoff triple.
There he goes.
A leadoff triple.
Oh boy! All right,
and can't score the run. Right? You can't score the run. Leadoff triple in the 8th inning, can't score a run. So nobody can come up to the plate and hit a fly ball. Okay, but when you pinch hit for Ref Snyder, now I'm not saying Ref Snyder is a great ball player, but he doesn't strike out every at bat. Okay, he'll make contact and he'll put the ball somewhere. So you pinch hit him for Franchi Cordero, and what does he do? He strikes out.
Listen, I'm starting to think with you. I don't know who you hate more anymore. Like LeBron. Now Frenchie, Frenchie, you got something with Frenchie.
Oh no. Believe me, he's only got 3 less home runs than JD Martinez this year. So that's the problem. You got JD Martinez that forgot how to hit all of a sudden. He forgot how to hit. Since we did that triple play with JD Martinez, he has stunk.
Yeah, we jinxed him. I'm gonna tell you this though. Look, you cannot blame the players. This was the management not making moves when they had the opportunity.
Oh, believe me, it doesn't stop at the players.
And wait till the offseason. Wait till the offseason when Xander Bogaerts is walking, and you're gonna say, "Why didn't we just trade him?"
Well, I'm at the point now where what? Doesn't matter, because he hasn't been able to hit lately either. And I don't know what's going on with him, but even last night, bases loaded in the 9th inning, bases loaded, nobody out, and the meat of the order is up.
You also got to look at Heimblum. He's that small market. You know what I mean? What's the dude? Billy Bass or whatever from Oakland or whatever the guy. You know what I mean? Like that's his mentality, and you're in a wrong market for that. Boston, the management has to decide to say, look, this isn't what we're going to do. We need to spend some money, or we need to get, they got to be competitive. You can't compete with the Yankees as an organization or want to be, in that same class if you're not going to be willing to spend some money. Granted, some of it's not always good. I didn't like the Stanton deal when the Yankees did it.
No.
But at least they're going to continue to say, we're going to try to get the best player in here regardless.
Right. And it's like, okay, so you didn't trade JD Martinez at the break. Well, that's fine. But he has to hit. He's got 9 home runs this season. 9. And remember when he was batting .320 and, we were talking how good he was, and we both picked him in that triple play as number 1 starter. Now, since then, like his last 31 days, he's batting .179. 31 games, now 32. 179. Like, why are you still in the lineup at this point?
Name recognition. He's probably Carr's boy, and Carr's
something
not gonna fit him.
Something happened to the mentality of hitting in baseball.
Yeah, it's
that launch angle thing. I don't know. I'm not buying launch angle.
I'm still waiting for the shift. That. I can't wait for no shift next year.
But it is. They just don't hit. They just don't know how to hit anymore.
Yeah,
and
you'll never see like a Tony Gwynn again.
No,
none of those guys.
No. Unfortunately.
So let's talk about the gentleman we're going to bring up on the screen, who's just signed a big contract to remain with the Seattle Mariners. That's Julio Rodriguez, obviously one of the young budding stars in Major League Baseball. Signed a 7-year, $120 million deal, but it can reach up to a maximum of $470 million. Do you agree with the contract?
I agree with the fact that a lot of it is bonuses.
I love this contract.
I think what needs to happen in sports, and you're probably gonna laugh,
Well, hold on, let me
say what?
I think everybody should make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Wait. With bonuses involved. So, if you hit 300, you get a bonus of whatever, If you hit...
You're crazy.
25 home runs, if you hit 30 home runs, 50 home runs, you get bonuses as that happens. So the players that do the best will get paid the most. And I think it's time because it's getting out of hand.
Ron, I love you. I really do.
I'm just saying.
The stupidest thing I've ever heard.
No, why is it?
There are guys that aren't even on the same spectrum that should not get paid the same.
That's what I'm saying, Eric.
But did you break down this contract? Hold on. I don't think you broke down this contract.
Salary.
I don't think you broke down this contract. So in the first 7 years, it's based off of how he gets ranked in MVPs. So if he gets high MVPs, they can kick in that second option, which means he has to perform to get paid. He just doesn't get paid.
That's the start of how it should be done everywhere.
This is a phenomenal contract because it gives him an out as well. Look, if he doesn't perform, he can take a player option or go to a free agency. And the player option is only 5 years, $90 million. Or they can go 10 years, $350 million if he's one of the top MVPs. So he needs to perform.
What I'm saying, Eric, is that this is how contracts should be done.
Yes.
To every single player.
Yes.
Every player.
I agree with the structure. Not that everybody should get paid the same.
No, but I'm saying, okay, so the minimum salary is whatever,
the same structure.
And then everybody's structure is the same. So if you reach a certain plateau, you get paid for that plateau. So a 300 hitter, a 30 home run hitter, a 100 RBI hitter should get paid more than those that aren't. So we have players that are getting basically a free ride this season, getting paid, $15, $20 million and aren't earning their money.
But that's
And
baseball.
I understand
Look,
that, but it's time
baseball,
that everybody gets a structured contract.
the fact that it's a guaranteed contract in baseball is a joke, because that, to your point, there's guys that'll sit the
Right.
bench for
Yeah.
their entire career. Kevin Brown from the New York Yankees will always stick out of my mind. New York signed him, I think, to a 4-year deal, whatever it was, one of the highest paid pitchers at the time. And I literally think he played maybe 16 games for the team, like in 4 years. Like, it just never happened. But they had to pay that money. This, to me, tells me that teams are finally starting to look similar to what we saw with Brooklyn when he asked for a trade and said, look, we're not going to do it. We're not going to. Owners are starting to take back and say, look, I'll pay you $470 million, which will be a record, but you need to perform. You need to produce. It isn't just about throwing you the money because you're 21 years old and we'll just expect you to be this good for the next 14 years. You have to be good for the next 14 years to get this contract. Thank you, Chakra, for joining every week. I would appreciate you. Does that not make more sense? Are you frozen, Ron? I think you are. Oh, boy. I am on my own right now. Ron, some technical difficulties. We've been having some difficulties all day today. But those that are out there, let me know. Do you agree with the Julio Rodriguez contract? Do you like this kind of structure where it's more performance-based and not just giving a lump sum to a player and then they ultimately don't perform? And what ends up happening is you end up eating all that money as a team, having trouble trying to trade this player later on based on the fact that he's making way too much money and nobody wants to pick up that contract. This, to me, gives the Seattle Mariners an opportunity to be competitive for years to come now, because you're not backloading all this money and saying, wait a minute, we can't pick up players now to be competitive. We have enough money right now to say, and for the next 8 years of when he's going to be in his prime, you're talking about if he lasts the 7 years, he's only going to be 28 years old. He's in his prime. You could get players around him now and build this block to win a championship with him before you give him this max deal and then may have to cut some guys or not be able to sign some guys because you don't have the money at that point. To me, this is finally starting to make players accountable for their performance, which doesn't happen in the Major League Baseball. It hasn't happened for years. And now organizations are starting to rise up. Mike Trout, considered one of the best players in Major League Baseball. But how many years has he missed? How much time has he missed the last few years? But Anaheim, they're on the hook for this, right? Yes, college does not help us. You get an MBA or advanced degree. MLB, MBA, though. But the college, again, yes, again, it's the same thing, right? How many times you go to college, you pay all this money and then ultimately you can't perform out in the workforce. They don't give you exactly what you need. Major League Baseball continues to give money and throw money at people, and it always comes back and backfires on them. Jean-Claude Stanton is a New York Yankee. I think he's a good player, but he's batting, we just said it, 229. This guy's making, what, $30, $40 million batting 229. He's missed more than he's played. And yet he gets his money because it's a guaranteed contract. Not anymore. Take it back. The owners are taking it back. They're starting to look at it and saying, we need to invest in our business now. It's not about just paying these guys. We want to keep them. The fans won't come to our building or our arenas, right? Because, excuse me, because we don't have these players. I think that if you can build a quality team and not bankrupt yourself to a point where you're just going, look at the Baltimore Orioles. How long have they been bad? And yet the 1 year that they're actually competitive, 2.5 games out of the wild card this season, they got rid of their best players during the trade deadline because they didn't want to pay them again. And this is why I think if you get more contracts like this, it allows teams like that now in baseball to be more competitive. Some of these smaller markets can say, look, we can make a deal like this because that contract is still movable if this player isn't performing to the level we need him to. and other teams would be willing to pick him up. So I thought this was a great move for the Mariners. Again, this is Sports Unfolded, episode 34, Bad Moon, Araiza. Again, big story coming out of Buffalo with the Buffalo Bills punter and a gang rape accusation when he was in San Diego State University. We've discussed that earlier. Just waiting to get Ron back. He's having some technical difficulties. But is there anybody out there want to talk about anything sports related? Let me know. We can continue to discuss. We're going to go into our face-off as soon as Ron gets back. And we're going to talk about the PGA. Made some major moves to try to keep players in the PGA versus going over to Live Golf. We know that's been a big story. Live Golf has continued to give guaranteed money, changed the format of golf altogether where there's no cut lines. Players can play the entire tournament, less holes. So is the PGA ultimately moving towards this kind of format? Is this what these moves that they made this week going to do to try to keep players in the PGA Tour versus leaving for Live Golf? Live Golf is throwing a lot of money at these players. I believe that the estimate was Tiger Woods about $700 to $800 million to come over because they wanted that name. If they had gotten a Tiger Woods to come over, it basically would have changed the sport altogether. It would have transformed the PGA completely because now the PGA doesn't have its main start, its main focal point. Regardless of how he performs, Tiger Woods still gets people interested in watching, gets people on the golf courses to watch the matches, to pay. You're not going to lose a guy like that and be able to recover. There are just not that many strong players on the PGA Tour, and Live Golf knew that. So now the PGA is basically giving more guaranteed monies to these players, giving them a stipend on some of the lower ranked, newer players that are coming into the PGA Tour. A lot going on where Live Golf now is starting to basically criticize the PGA and saying, look, they're just trying to steal our format, which is pretty amazing to me because if you think about it, they really are. They're trying to give more guaranteed monies. They're upping the antes. They're trying to force players to be involved in 20 tour events, especially like 13 of the major events, because they want to make sure they draw the top players to play in those events. Because they obviously it's all about viewership. It's about money. It's about people watching on TV. They're not going to make their money unless these guys are playing in these tournaments. And they ultimately are trying to get those guys into these tournaments. And he's back on the other side now.
Oh, we had a power outage.
Oh, well, we got some storms in this area, so we expected what could have happened.
Yeah, so I expected it to go on faster than what it did, but it actually tripped the circuit breaker.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't like that, but
Oh,
you
boy.
know. But I'm back. I
back.
don't know how long.
So
No idea.
Let's continue to talk about. I just started to get into the PGA Tour, Live Golf. PGA Tour has made some major moves here, Ron. So we're gonna argue this. Do we feel like the PGA Tour is making the right moves to avoid players or golfers from going to the Live Tour? So a lot of more guaranteed money up front, basically signing contracts that these guys have to play in about 20 events. 13 of them have to be like some of these major events. They've given stipends to some of the guys that are lower so that they make money, even if they're out of the golf. It's 4 holes, and basically there is no cut lines. So, do you think the PGA is getting us right?
Well, I didn't hear a lot of that as you were cutting in and out. It could be my connection. Don't know.
Oh, boy.
But I think it's a little too late, but it is the right decisions. This is unfortunately what the golfers wanted to happen before the mass exodus. And, but PGA really didn't care because they didn't take anything else serious. But now things are serious because players are leaving. Now the damage is done. So,
may have lost Ron again. So again, we were discussing PGA Tour and how they've tried to change their way to avoid players from going over to Live Golf. It's been an interesting story, to say the least, because you just don't know which guys will leave. There's a lot of rumors all the time about who's going to leave. There's some guys that are adamant they won't leave, Rory McIlroy being one of them, Tiger Woods obviously being the other. PGA Tour is trying to stay alive and be competitive. And if they can't do that without actually making sure that they're paying these guys what they need, and if they don't do that enough, you're going to continue to lose the top talent. And when that happens, obviously the product suffers. So how do you all feel about this PGA Tour? Is it going to be viable, or do you feel like Live Golf is going to take over? And he's back again.
yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do, with the storm that's here. So, it's going to just keep cutting in and out, I think.
I'll try to do my best to fill in while I can. Get your point across about Live Golf.
Yeah, I just think that I think it's a little too late. They had to stop the bleeding. Like, these are the right decisions that they needed to do before Live Golf Tour came. And they didn't do it because they really didn't care, because they were the only, deal in town.
Yeah.
But that proved to be false, and now they're suffering, and they're not even going to let all these players come back if they wanted to. And that's a shame. That's a shame.
So the NFL, such a big entity, right? How many different organizations? USFL had failed.
Yeah.
Back in the XFL failed. You're not going to compete against them unless you get some of these top players. Live Golf decided to say, look, we're going to pay you up front. Come over. We're going to get the best players in the world. So we're giving you a better product than the PGA.
Yeah.
And that's where they got it right. They got it right. I don't know if the PGA is going to be able to stop the bleeding at this point. I think that Liv's just going to continue to throw money at guys. As soon as they're doing very well with the PGA,
yeah,
they're going to try to throw money. Having them have these guaranteed contracts where they can't go right off the bat, that protects the PGA, but for how long?
Right.
For how long? Let's get into some hockey, my friend, because I'm sure people are tired of me talking about golf.
Yeah, they probably are.
We've got some NHL news out of Vegas, and the Golden Knights have decided to stay in-house with their goaltending needs. Do you feel it's the right move for the team? Now, they're a competitive team in the West, just missed the playoffs last season. Rob Lanier out for the season. Starting goalie, had a solid season, 23-17-2, one shutout, 2.83 goals against, 907 save percentage in 44 games. The backup's not as much quality. So they got right now on the roster, Michael Hutchinson. He was 0-1, 4.57 goals against with Toronto, 857 save percentage. Laurent Brossoit, 10-9-3, one shutout, 2.9 goals against, and 895 save percentage last season with Vegas. Logan Thompson, 10-5-3, one shutout, 2.68 goals against. So solid goals against there. But still, almost 3 goals is sometimes could be a little bit to overcome. 914 save percentage. Question would be, why isn't Holtby a contender here? Braden Holtby, we talked about it. How does this not make sense for a team that was that close last season, Ron? What's the hold up there?
Well, the problem is, look, they're hoping that young goaltending can do something, but when you look at those save percentages, that's the number you look at. I don't look at that goals against average because that can be very deceiving. But if you're
that one
going
guy
under 900 percentage for save percent, you're not a goaltender that you can count on.
Yeah. So to me, Thompson takes the lead in this right now.
Yeah, you would think. But again, that's still, a small sample size too. It's. I don't know if you're going to get that over the long haul.
18 games. It's a lot to ask for.
Yeah, it is. So
it's a lot to ask for. Does this hurt their shots in the West?
And you got to think he's probably played against more non-playoff teams than the quality.
Yeah.
So I think Vegas is dumb for not going after Holtby at this point.
A guy that's proven 21 games last season, played in Dallas. Again, they were a playoff team.
Yeah.
It's just baffling to me. But let's continue with this Golden Knights theme because we're gonna bring this gentleman up. Former Bruin. I mean, he's a fine looking fella. That's Phil Kessel, right winger, has signed a 1-year contract with the Knights for $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Do you like this deal?
I do like the deal because he's a talented player who can get you offense, out of nothing. He's got a lot of skill, and this team should be able to get him the numbers that he is looking for, this season. I mean, I don't think he's ready to retire by no means. He's an older player, but he still has some skill and the wheels left.
Yeah, 35 next season. But 82 games last year, so he played a full season.
Yep.
And you think about what Arizona, the Coyotes were, a mess, right? 8 goals, 44 assists, so 52 points, a minus 24, but we know how bad the team was. My only concern was shot percentage, 4.6.
Yeah.
Lowest of his career. But he's a 2-time Cup winner as well. So you think about the experience, him knowing. And then I started to look back at the Knights' right wing situation right now and what they have. Riley Smith played 56 games last season. Again, injuries, 16 goals, 22 assists, a +4, 10.7 shot percentage.
Yep.
He's 31. I think what they're going to try to do here is they're going to try to get some of these younger guys like a Keegan Kolesar, 77 games last year, 7 goals, 17 assists. More action. He's 25. So you move some of these guys around. Riley Smith, probably your first line. Kessel, maybe a third, fourth line on this team.
He'll probably be a second liner, actually. He'll probably be on the second line and put him with some skilled players first to see if that, ignites his season. Like I said, first of all, he's got an Iron Man streak going, so he plays every game. And he does that throughout his career. So I think, they'll definitely put some skill around him first and see how that goes. And if that works, then great. If it doesn't work, then, they'll try some other guys on that right wing, like you said, and try to get these younger guys to produce. But I think he'll be fine, and I think he will produce, and he'll have a good season over there.
Yeah, no, and again, think about it, just moving from Arizona to Vegas. I mean, that gives him at least some kind of reason to want to do better because
absolutely,
Arizona was just a mess this year.
Absolutely.
It's pick and roll time, my friend.
Pick and roll.
And we are going to rank these NFL number 34 running backs. So these all-time running backs, number 34s, Walter Payton, Ricky Williams, Bo Jackson, Thurman Thomas, Earl Campbell, and Herschel Walker. And obviously all great backs, but we're going to rank them based on how we feel they are worst to best. And I am first, so I will start us off. At number 6, it pained me, but I went Bo Jackson. Just the numbers weren't there. 2,782 yards, 16 touchdowns. Although on this list, the highest yards per average, 5.4 in his career.
That's right.
That's pretty impressive. 40 receptions, 352 yards, 2 touchdowns. Only had 1 Pro Bowl. Just did not have the numbers. Didn't have the extensive career. We know the hip injury. He didn't last very long. At number 5, and I didn't realize this guy's numbers were so good. Ricky Williams, 10,009 yards, 66 touchdowns, a 4.1 yards per game average, worst on the list, 342 yards receiving, 342 receptions, 2,606 yards, 8 touchdowns, only 1 Pro Bowl, 1 All-Pro. We know his career and some of the things that happened, retired, wasn't really into it. One of the greatest drafts ever, Mike Ditka, giving up all his picks to just pick Ricky Williams. We never saw that ever again in the NFL history. At number 4, this is where it started to get tough for me, but I started to look at some things. Earl Campbell, I went 4. 9,407 yards, 74 touchdowns. You talk about a phenomenal career. Short as well. 4.3 yards per average. Only 121 receptions for 806 yards. No touchdowns receiving. But he had 5 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pros, and 7 combined MVPs, because the MVPs were a lot different back then, but 7 combined MVPs. So the man dominated his sport for the time. At number 3, I went Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, 8,225 yards rushing. So you go, Eric, he didn't even have as much as Ricky Williams and Earl Campbell. 61 touchdowns, 4.2 yards average. But he also had 512 receptions for 4,859 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 2 Pro Bowls. I thought Thurman Thomas would have more receptions. Herschel Walker was actually one of those backs back in the day that actually was one of those backs out of the backfield. I never really looked at him that way. At number 2, though, I had to go Thurman Thomas, 12,074 yards rushing, 65 touchdowns, a 4.2 yards average, 472 receptions for 4,458 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pros, 3 MVPs. But how do you not consider this the best number 34 running back of all time? The man has his own award. Walter Payton, the Walter Payton Award, 16,726 yards, 110 touchdowns, a 4.4 yards per game average. Ron, it blew my mind. 492 receptions for 4,538 yards and 15 touchdowns. I would never have considered him a receiving running back. He was. 9 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pros, 5 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl championship, the 85 Bears that beat our Patriots. That was my pick and roll.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So number 6, I also had Bo Jackson. Didn't have the seasons, injuries. That dictates a person's career, and we will never know how good he could have been.
Agreed.
Because, if he stayed healthy and you project those numbers out, that's a great career. But it wasn't. So, number 6. Number 5. I had him a lot like you did. I was actually stunned of his numbers as well. Ricky Williams,
right?
I was stunned that he had those good of numbers, and I was actually starting to consider him higher on this list.
I agreed. 10,000 yards is nothing to shake your head at.
Right. So number 4, I went Herschel Walker.
Okay.
And because of he didn't have the yards and like the receptions is what is glaring to me. He had 21 touchdowns as a receiver. I mean, that's a lot of touchdowns more than I thought Herschel Walker would have had. So they gave him 82 in his career, and that's pretty damn good. And it was close. It was close with Earl Campbell, but just the dominance in that 5-year stretch. Like
agreed.
Completely dominated, and I could not put Herschel Walker ahead of Earl Campbell. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
Earl Campbell still had 74 touchdowns, 4.3 average per carry. The thing that also made me put Earl Campbell ahead of Herschel Walker was the yardage in playoffs.
Oh, okay.
Herschel Walker only averaged 26.4 yards per game in the playoffs.
Wow.
Earl Campbell had 70 per game.
Wow. Hey, a little lightning in the back.
Yeah, you seen that, huh? Yeah, that tells you what I'm dealing with. I don't like it being in back of me, to be honest with you. So that tipped the scales for me for Earl Campbell to be at number 3. That 26.4 is really bad for playoffs.
Yeah, no, that's
horrible. you need your running back to put some yardage in, and he didn't do it, and that kind of hurt him for me. That left the top 2, and like you, I went Thurman Thomas number 2 because those 23 receiving touchdowns. Yeah. Wow, that's pretty damn good.
Right.
That's pretty damn good. And he was the only player on the list that actually got better yardage in the playoffs. Averaged 66.3 during the regular season, 68.7 in the playoffs. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for the fact that Walter Payton was just so good, that could have been a difference maker. But Walter Payton was just so good. 4,700 yards more than Thurman Thomas, but I'll take one of those two guys any day of the week. But Walter Payton was number 1.
Great list. You didn't realize, right? Because even with the Bo Jackson, like how little yards he had, but the impact he had in that short amount of time.
I know.
Right? So it was like when I said, "Oh, he's gonna be one," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, he really didn't have much." But that
5.4 yards per carry.
Imagine that.
That was actually better than Barry Sanders.
Yeah. Imagine if he stayed healthy. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Insane. My friend, it is the final. We're running down to the end of our show. It is prediction time.
Oh, predictions.
And it's getting a little closer. We'll bring that chart up for you. I know you're excited about that.
I'm trying.
So we are 2 games apart again. Manny has decided to join in the last couple weeks, and he's at 16%. So Manny, don't pick any of the teams I pick. That's all I ask you. If you're still on, pick all of Ron's teams this week.
He's got to pick because you can't let that show for the rest of the year.
That's like a Dallas Cowboys percentage right there.
Yeah, you don't want to be seen with that 1-5. So you really need to start picking again. I don't know what to tell you, Manny. Going with Eric really hurt you.
Yeah. No, he hurt me. So it's going to be a fun week. You ready? So 8:26. 8:26. We'll bring the ticker up so we can let people know what they want to pick.
Yep.
If they're
That's what I'm trying to do.
I got you, brother. There we go. So first, we got the 3-game series, the Atlanta Braves at the St. Louis Cardinals. I am first this week, so I will say I am going Atlanta. I just feel like they need this to stay with the Mets. It's so important for them. I think the Cardinals are okay even if they lose this series. They should make the playoffs with relative ease since Milwaukee's kind of backed off. But Manny picked St. Louis. Yes. All right. So I go Braves. What do you got?
I'm going to go St. Louis. I'm going to go with Manny. I think Manny went with you because he felt bad for you.
Oh, yeah.
And it cost him dearly. So I'm going St. Louis at home.
Okay. 8:30. We got the San Diego Padres at the San Francisco Giants. Again, a 3-game series. What do you got?
I'm going San Diego with this.
Ooh.
I don't look. It's an even number year. San Francisco does not do well on even numbers. They only make postseasons and contend during odd numbers.
I still go San Francisco in second place ahead of the Padres. I'm going San Francisco. 8:28. We've got WNBA playoff action. There's a 5-game series, so we're just picking game 1 here. But the Seattle Storm at the Las Vegas Aces. I'm going with Becky Hammond, and I'm going Vegas. Manny went with San Francisco.
So he went with you.
Yeah. So he's picking either way. It's gonna cost one of us.
Probably you.
Who do you got? I guess Storm or at Vegas.
I like the Storm in the series, but I'm going to go Aces for the game 1.
Game 1. I like it. 8:28. You got the Connecticut Sun at the Chicago Sky, defending champions. Again, game 1 of the 5-game series. Who do you got? Storm.
I'm going to go Chicago Sky. I think the Sun are definitely a better home team than away team. It's a lot different away. So Chicago Sky's got this one.
I went Chicago as well. And the same reasons you said. I think at home they're going to really want to prove something. 8:27. New York Red Bulls at the Inter Miami Club of Football. MLS action. Manny's going Sun. I'm up. Am I up? Am I up?
Yes.
I am up. I went to Miami. They're at home.
I am also going to go Miami. I was considering whether I was going to pick the tie, but
the Red Bulls. You like the Red Bulls? You don't
know,
like
I'm
that
going
name.
Miami. Miami Club de Football.
8:26. So tonight, about 8:15, I believe, is kickoff. The New England Patriots will be at the Las Vegas Raiders. Little reunion there. Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick. Manny went Miami. Who do you got?
I'm going to go Las Vegas.
I went Raiders as well.
Because I think, first of all, I will be stunned if Belichick shows anything on his playlist.
Yeah, and again, they're going to play later on in the season, so this is going to be a very vanilla game.
Yeah,
not much going on there. I also feel like, look, the offense is still not up to snuff where it needs to be with the Patriots. So we'll see. And we've added these in now. NASCAR. So 8:27 got the NASCAR Cup Series. Coca-Cola Zero Sugar 400. We've got to pick a driver to finish in the top 5. We actually both picked the same driver last week and both won. So we got to win on that.
Yeah.
I am first. I am picking the number 31 car, Justin Haley. He won it 3 years ago. And I just feel like, look, he's due. It's 3 years. It's time. Justin Haley.
What was my boy back in the first time we picked this?
Elliott? Was it Chase Elliott?
No. It was another Chase. Ross Chastain. That's who it was. Ross Chastain. That's who I'm going with.
Ross Chastain. All right. So whichever driver finishes in the top 5, it's a win. If the drivers both finish in the top 5, whoever gets the higher seed gets 2 wins. All right. So if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night, 6 p.m. Hopefully no technical difficulties. Ron's got a storm. I had some difficulties this morning.
I should have went with the storm.
That's where Manny did. He said there's a storm outside. See? So if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out. That tick has been telling you exactly how to follow us, all the different ways. If you'd like to sponsor the show, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. check us out. We'd love to get some sponsors. It definitely could help us continue to grow our show. Follow us on all our social medias at Sports Unfolded, at Rhode Island Broadcasting, on Twitch. We've had a lot of Twitch. Want to thank everybody that joined Chakra, joins us almost every week. Thank you for the support. We had James from YouTube, Manny from YouTube tonight. So thank you guys for participating. We are live. We're fan interactive. We'd love to get the fans involved. Ron, it is final thought time. I am first this week, so I will give you my final thought. Well, the Lightning back again. My final thought is actually on Las Vegas head coach Becky Hammond, who was named WNBA head coach of the year. And we had discussed this when this hire came down, the great job she was going to do. A 722 win percentage in her first season as head coach. I don't understand why NBA teams are not looking at her as a legitimate candidate. She worked under Greg Popovich. She understands the NBA. She's been a player. Stop considering her a woman and just look at her as a coach. She is a coach who could continue to help your team be successful. She deserves a shot in the NBA. I've said it from the beginning. Popovich said it. And think about where he is on the scheme, on this scale of head coaches in the NBA. He's considered one of the best to ever do it. If he knows the talent, how come these NBA owners can't see the same thing, or these GMs? She deserves a head coaching job. Great job with the WNBA team, and hopefully she gets that championship with them. But I'd love to see her next season get an NBA job because I think she deserves it. That's my final thought.
Very good. That's really good. I was going to go a different route today. I was going to basically pig pile on the Red Sox. But I'm not going to do that because we didn't talk about this today, and I think it needs to be said. My final thought goes out to Len Dawson.
Yes, great.
One of the all-time greats. Won Super Bowl, I believe, 4, I believe. I can't remember. I didn't watch it. I wasn't watching football back then. But he was a great competitor, and he put the Kansas City Chiefs on the map, and they've been on that map ever since. And, you know, he might not go down as the greatest quarterback of all time, but what he brought to the table, you know, brought a team recognition, and they stayed there ever since. And now they're a force to be reckoned with Mahomes.
Yeah.
So, who will probably go down as one of the best, you know, to play in Kansas City. Joe Montana wasn't great there.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, rest in peace, Len Dawson. And, you know, you're going to be missed in the NFL world.
Yeah. No, great point. Yes, rest in peace. They did a great thing on the preseason game where the iconic picture, and they had them all just kind of line up similar so that it looked like Len Dawson. So that was a great tribute to him
it's
as
just,
well.
you know, there's just so many that we're losing in sports and entertainment world, and it's just, you know, it's just overwhelming at times. And
that final show for us is going to be a difficult one because I think there'll be more tears again.
Yeah.
But Ron, I want to thank you for your time. All the difficulties. Stay safe today with that storm. We're going to get a pretty nasty one coming through basically all night tonight. So you stay safe out there. Everybody that's watching us live, thank you for watching. And everybody else, stay safe out there if you're in our area, the Northeast. Ron, all we ever ask for in this world is peace.
Absolutely. Have a good night, everybody.